My life was a show until I shut it down. What if the moment you knelt on a filthy bathroom floor, someone somewhere was applauding? What if the humiliation burning through your skin wasn't just cruelty, but content? What if the girl who poured the bucket of dirty water over your head wasn't your enemy, but the only person trying to save you? And what if the real question was never why they chose her, but why they chose me? Don't pretend you didn't see this coming, Evelyn. Madison Clark's voice echoed coldly off the tiled walls, sharp and controlled, like she'd rehearsed it. The bathroom door slammed shut behind us. Before I could turn around, icy water exploded over my head, soaking straight through my thin white blouse. The smell hit next, stale, sour, unmistakably rotten. I gasped as the water ran down my neck, my back, pooling at my feet. My hands trembled. My knees buckled. I warned you, Madison said calmly. Don't compete with me. I dropped to the floor. Not because I had to, because I knew that's what they wanted. I'm sorry, I whispered, my voice breaking perfectly on cue. I didn't mean to. I'll withdraw. I promise. Dirty water dripped from my hair onto the tiles. My shoulders shook. Tears blurred my vision just enough to look convincing. Madison crouched slightly, angling her phone. Click. The flash went off. She smiled, lips curving slowly, savoring the moment like an artist admiring her work. Today is just a warning, she said softly. If you don't voluntarily give up the exchange program spot, I'll make sure you and your family regret being born. She straightened, reached into her purse, and flicked a black credit card toward me. It slid across the wet floor and stopped inches from my fingers. Buy a new shirt, she said. Try not to look this pathetic next time. The door slammed. Silence rushed in, thick and heavy, broken only by the drip of water from the sink and the sickly smell clinging to my skin. I stayed on the floor for 3 more seconds. Then I stood. I walked to the mirror, turned on the faucet, and washed my face slowly. Water streamed down, taking the grime with it. My reflection stared back at me, hair plastered to my cheeks, eyes red, gloss clinging like a second skin. A joke. A perfect one. My phone vibrated. In my pocket. I didn't rush. I dried my hands. I unlocked the screen. $75,000 deposited. Sender, Mirrorworks Studios. Note, lead actress fee, bullying scene. I exhaled. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just understanding. Some people grow up believing their lives belong to them. I used to be one of them. 3 months ago, a new reality series launched in the US. Quietly at first, then explosively. It was called The Masked Life. The premise was simple. Too simple. Follow the life of a lost heiress, reunited with her billionaire family. Capture her genuine reactions. No scripts. No acting. Just raw humanity. That girl was Madison Clark. Or at least, that's what the audience believed. Madison transferred into our university the same week the show premiered. Redwood State University rolled out the metaphorical red carpet. Professors smiled wider. Student councils tripped over themselves to welcome her. She was beautiful in a way that felt carefully balanced. Not intimidating. Not loud. Confident, but restrained. Rich, but tasteful. She didn't flaunt. She didn't overspend. She didn't bully, at least not at first. The audience adored her. She's so real. She deserves everything. This is what kindness looks like. Fan accounts multiplied overnight. But Madison didn't know. She didn't know about the cameras hidden behind ceiling vents. She didn't know her phone was filtered, monitored, curated. She didn't know every conversation was logged, edited, packaged. She thought she was finally living her real life. The irony still makes me laugh. Because I wasn't supposed to matter. I was Evelyn Hart. Top student in linguistics. Quiet. Invisible. I avoided attention like a disease. I stayed out of frame. I didn't want my life cut into clips and judged by strangers eating popcorn on their couches. I thought if I stayed far enough from the light, I'd be safe. I was wrong. Madison found me 3 weeks after transferring. She handed me a business card outside the library. Evergreen Global Education, she said smoothly. They specialize in overseas exchange. Consulting. I took the card. Then she looked at me directly. Evelyn, would you mind withdrawing from the exchange program? No beating around the bush. No fake kindness. You can apply. Anywhere else, she continued. I'll cover all the costs. I stared at the card. Redwood only offered 2 exchange spots per year. They wanted the top 2 students. That was me. And Noah Reed. Noah Reed, the boy Madison liked. The boy the audience adored. The boy the cameras loved. If I refused, I wouldn't just be in her way. I'd be a villain. I nodded. I'll think about it, I said quietly. She smiled, satisfied. That night, I opened my laptop to draft the withdrawal email. I didn't finish it. A message popped up on my screen. Evelyn Hart, you have been selected as a core cast member of The Masked Life. Instruction: ignore Madison Clark's request. Proceed with the exchange application. Messenger: Noah Reed. My fingers froze above the keyboard. The next day, Noah invited me for coffee. He looked exactly like he did on screen. Clean. Warm. Trustworthy. You don't really have a choice, he said gently, sliding a contract across the table. We all signed it. Participation clause. Refusal equals breach. He smiled like he was doing me a favor. They'll protect you, he added. Madison can't hurt you. And the pay, well, you've already seen what one scene is worth. I looked at him. What if I refuse anyway? I asked. Noah leaned back. Then you disappear. Not threatening. Not dramatic. Just factual. I signed. And that's how I ended up kneeling on a bathroom floor, soaked in filth, while millions watched from the comfort of their homes, believing they were witnessing justice, karma, entertainment. They thought Madison Clark was finally showing her true colors. They had no idea. Neither did I. Because the truth was worse. Much worse. And the closer I got to the center of the story, the more I realized something was wrong. Not with Madison. With me. What happens after a scandal explodes? What happens when millions of people decide they hate you? What happens when your reputation collapses overnight, but your real life stays eerily, terrifyingly calm? The episode aired at exactly 8 p.m. Eastern. I didn't watch it on my own phone. I sat on my dorm bed and watched it on my roommate's screen, knees pulled to my chest, arms wrapped tight around myself like I was cold. The screen glowed blue in the dark room. The Masked Life logo faded out. The music swelled. And then, there I was, on my knees, soaked, shaking. The camera angle was perfect. Just high enough to make me look small. Just close enough to catch every tremble in my lips, every tear clinging to my lashes. The comments exploded instantly. She's evil. I knew Madison was fake. Money really does rot people. Poor Evelyn. That girl deserves justice. I watched strangers defend me like I was real to them. Like they knew me. Like my pain belonged to them now. Madison Clark's follower count dropped in real time. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Fan accounts went silent. Hate accounts bloomed overnight. She's a jealous bully. Classic rich girl syndrome. All that kindness was fake. And yet, outside that glowing screen, nothing happened. The next morning, Madison walked into class like always. Perfect posture. Soft smile. Hair falling neatly over her shoulders. People gathered around her. Complimented her outfit. Asked her about the upcoming charity gala. Took selfies. No one mentioned the episode. No one whispered. No one stared. No one avoided her. It was as if the entire campus had signed a silent agreement to pretend nothing had changed. I sat 2 rows behind her, hands folded on my desk, heart beating too fast. She laughed at something a girl beside her said. A light, melodic laugh. The same laugh millions of people online were tearing apart at that exact moment. It didn't make sense. If she was being publicly destroyed, why didn't it reach her world? By lunchtime, rumors began to surface, but softly, carefully, like test balloons. Did you hear? Someone online said Madison bullied a girl. That can't be real. People are just jealous. The same script repeated everywhere. Doubt. defense, dismissal. I realized then, this wasn't about truth. It was about control. That afternoon, Madison approached me. She looped her arm through mine casually, like we were friends. Like nothing had ever happened. "Let's talk," she said brightly. She pulled me into an old storage room behind the arts building. The door shut. The lock clicked. My body reacted before my mind did. My shoulders stiffened. My breath caught. Madison unzipped her backpack and pulled something out. A curling iron. She turned it on. The light blinked red. The room felt suddenly smaller. "Please," I whispered automatically, backing away. She stepped closer. Then she smiled. And her expression changed. Not into cruelty. Into something polished. Professional. "This is the newest wireless curling iron from Lumlux," Madison said smoothly, her tone shifting unnaturally. "Temperature adjustable, anti-burn coating. Moisture protection technology. Perfect for daily styling without damaging your hair." I froze. The words felt wrong in her mouth. Too clean. Too rehearsed. She angled the curling iron slightly, as if showing it to an invisible camera. "Using this on someone like you would be such a waste," she added, snapping instantly back into her usual sneer. The door burst open. Noah Reed stood there, breathing hard. "Madison," he shouted. He rushed forward, yanked the curling iron from her hand, and threw it to the ground. It clattered loudly. The scene unfolded like déjà vu. Accusations. Denials. Disappointment. Noah looked at Madison like she was a stranger. Like something precious had shattered. I stood behind him, silent. Safe. The cameras got everything. That night, online opinion turned even harsher. "She's unhinged. Did you hear her advertising mid-threat? This show is insane." But again, real life stayed quiet. Too quiet. Back in my dorm, I replayed the moment in my head. The way Madison's voice had shifted. The exact phrasing. The unnatural smoothness. It sounded like an ad read. Just like when she'd handed me that education consulting card. Just like when my roommate talked about snacks. Just like when my parents talked about appliances. My chest tightened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching shadows shift as cars passed outside. Every creak of the building made me flinch. Every flicker of my phone screen felt like an eye-opening. Something was wrong with the world. And I was standing in the middle of it. The next day, I decided to test it. I waited until my roommate, Chloe, was scrolling through her phone. "Hey," I said casually. "Can I borrow your phone? Mine lost signal." She paused. Just for half a second. Then smiled. "Sure. Let me send this real quick." That pause burned into my memory. I took her phone, opened a browser, typed nonsense. Then, heart pounding, tapped the familiar mask icon. The Masked Life app opened. I expected something different. Something that showed me. But the feed was identical to mine. Madison. 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 Relief and disappointment collided in my chest. I handed the phone back. Chloe grabbed a bag of chips from her desk and held it out to me. "Try one," she said brightly. "Imported. Super good." I took one. Crunch. She watched me closely. "Well?" she asked. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Pretty good." Her smile widened. "They're on sale on Shoploop right now. Buy one get one free. You should totally order." Cold crept up my spine. That night, I packed a bag. I needed to go home. I needed to see my parents. Because if there was one thing I still believed in, one thing I had to believe in, it was that my family was real. The drive home felt longer than usual. Every mile marker felt staged. Every radio ad sounded too targeted. When I arrived, my parents were shocked to see me. My mother hugged me tightly. My father took my bag. Dinner was warm, familiar, comforting, too comforting. "Take a look at this," my dad said suddenly, gesturing toward a sleek new dishwasher. "Makes life so much easier. We're thinking of getting one for you too." My mother set a bowl of cherries on the table. "Have some," she said. "They're sweet. Ordered them online." I stared at the fruit. My hands trembled. I picked one up, bit into it. Sour. I spat the pit onto my plate. These are terrible, I said flatly. Did you get scammed? My mother froze. Just for a second. Then she laughed too loudly. What are you talking about? They're delicious. She grabbed a handful and ate them quickly, almost desperately. Later, while she washed dishes, I listened from the living room. Through the sound of running water, I heard her whisper. So wasteful. My heart sank. After dinner, I said it. What if Madison Clark is the real victim? I asked calmly. What if everyone is lying to her? Silence. My parents looked at me like I'd said something dangerous. My mother smiled gently. You're too kind, she said. You always think of others. That night, I knew. I wasn't just being watched. I was being guided, shaped, directed. And the most terrifying thought crept into my mind, slow and heavy. What if Madison wasn't the star of the masked life? What if she was just a decoy? What if the real show had been about me all along? And if that was true, how much of my life had ever been real? What if every time you thought you were choosing, someone else had already signed for you? What if the word family was just another role in a script? And what if the most terrifying prison wasn't locked from the outside, but built with love? I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my childhood bedroom with my back against the bed, knees pulled up, phone turned off, lights out, listening to the hum of the refrigerator downstairs and the distant sound of my father coughing in his sleep. This room was the only place in the world that still felt untouched. No camera lenses glinting. No red dots blinking. No invisible pressure telling me how to sit, how to speak, how long to pause. I checked again. Under the desk. Behind the bookshelf. Inside the smoke detector. Nothing. And that realization made my stomach twist. Because it meant this room wasn't safe. It was simply irrelevant. They didn't need to watch me here. They already knew me. I thought back to every moment I had tried to leave. When I was 16 and begged my parents to let me attend a summer program in New York, my mother had cried and said it wasn't safe. When I secretly applied to a college in Chicago, my acceptance letter mysteriously never arrived. When I bought a plane ticket to California after graduation, the flight was canceled due to technical issues. When my classmates voted for a cross-country trip, I ended up in a hospital bed with a concussion after a minor accident. At the time, I'd called it bad luck. Now I knew better. I wasn't unlucky. I was managed. At 4 a.m, I stood up and walked into my parents' bedroom. I stood there for a long time, watching them sleep. My mother's face looked peaceful. My father's hand rested on the blanket the same way it always had. They looked real. That hurt the most. I didn't wake them. Not yet. Because I needed proof before I destroyed the last illusion I had. The next morning, I returned to campus. The moment I stepped through the gates of Redwood State University, my phone buzzed. Noah, did you make it back safely? You left so suddenly last night. I stared at the message, then typed carefully. Yeah, just needed some air. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. I get it. You've been under a lot of pressure. The audience is worried about you. The audience. Not people. Not friends. The audience. That night, Noah asked me out to dinner. I said yes. The restaurant was quiet, expensive, dimly lit. The kind of place where every table felt like a private stage. Noah ordered wine I liked without asking. You mentioned it once, he said gently. I remembered. I smiled. Inside, I felt sick. He leaned forward slightly, elbows on the table. Voice low and sincere. Evelyn, he said, the numbers are incredible right now. What numbers? I asked. Engagement. Sympathy. Loyalty. He paused, watching my face carefully. You've become the emotional anchor of the show. I didn't agree to that, I said. Noah sighed softly, like a man dealing with a difficult child. You agreed when you signed, he said. You just didn't know what it meant yet. I looked at him. What happens next? I asked. He hesitated, then smiled again. A healing arc, he said. Growth. Trust. His hand reached across the table and covered mine. And romance. I didn't pull away. What if I don't want that? I asked quietly. Noah's thumb stopped moving. Then they'll write pain instead, he said calmly. They always do. That was the moment I understood. Love wasn't something I was being offered. It was something I was being guided into. That night, Madison Clark slipped the business card into my hand. I didn't look at her. I didn't react. But my heart was pounding so hard I was afraid the microphones might hear it. Back in my dorm, behind the drawn curtains of my bed, I peeled the card apart. The hidden note felt heavier than paper should. When I read her handwriting, my chest tightened. They didn't choose you because you're special. They chose you because you're controllable. I snapped the credit card in half. The chip inside felt cold against my palm. When my phone rebooted with the new SIM in place, the silence was immediate. No buzzing. No phantom pressure. No sense of being nudged. For the first time in my life, my thoughts felt private. I sent Madison the signal. Performing arts camera. Her reply came seconds later. I've been waiting. She told me everything. She was never the lost heiress. That storyline had been built years ago, waiting for the right face. She was hired, trained, monitored. But then she saw my file. They mapped your personality before you could read, she typed. They predicted your reactions before you had them. They didn't just observe you, Evelyn. They designed you. I sat there, shaking. What about my parents? I typed. There was a long pause. They signed. The word burned. Signed. Noah Reed was perfect. Not accidentally. Not naturally. Perfect by design. He texted at the right times. Asked the right questions. Listened just long enough. Pulled away just enough. Every conversation with him felt like stepping into warm water, comfortable, safe. Impossible to notice until you were submerged. They studied you for 20 years, Madison told me. They know what makes you trust. They built him for you. So I let myself fall. At least, I let it look that way. I smiled more. I leaned into him. I let my voice soften. I feel safe with you, I told him one night. The lie tasted bitter. Noah's breath caught, just for a second. The cameras loved that. We walked across campus hand in hand, and I felt it, the shift. The world aligning around us. Conversations paused. Doors opened. The narrative locked into place. But behind the scenes, Madison and I planned. The exit is at the top floor of Mirrorworks, she said. The control room. Everything routes through there. If we can get there, we can burn it. Noah took me to the studio himself. He thought it was a reward. The building looked like any other media company. Inside, it was a mausoleum of my life. Screens showed me sleeping, laughing, crying, growing. Charts mapped my emotional spikes. Graphs predicted my reactions. Then I saw the box. It fell open. Hundreds of figurines spilled across the floor. Me, in school uniforms, in hospital gowns, in casual clothes. Packaged. Collectible. Noah froze. This was supposed to be a surprise, he said weakly. Madison's voice crackled in my ear. Now. I shoved Noah aside and ran. Alarm screamed. Footsteps thundered behind me. I followed Madison's voice through vents, stairwells, locked doors that opened just long enough to let us through. She pulled me out of a maintenance shaft, laptop under her arm, eyes blazing. Still with me, she asked. I nodded. We ran. Guards shouted. Radios crackled. Lights flashed red. At one point I stumbled. And Madison dragged me up without slowing. Why are you doing this? I gasped. She didn't look back. Because I don't want there to be another you, she said. We reached the top floor. The control room. Glass walls. Dozens of screens. The heart of the machine. The director was waiting. Applause erupted. Confetti fell. Congratulations, Evelyn, he said warmly. This was always the finale. A microphone was pressed into my hand. Tell the audience how you feel. I looked into the cameras. I smiled. Then I turned to Madison. We pressed the red button. Together. Every screen went black. Every feed died. The noise collapsed into silence so sudden it made my ears ring. People shouted. Systems failed. Years of control unraveled in seconds. For the first time in my life, no one was watching. The director screamed. Security surged. But it didn't matter. The show was dead. They would try again. With another child. Another family. Another lie. But not tonight. Madison squeezed my hand. We did it, she whispered. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. And then, slowly, I felt air fill my lungs. Breathing. Real breathing. I don't know what comes next. But I know this. My life was never entertainment. And I will never let them turn another human being into content. Not again. Not ever. The end.